All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Racha HaKodash. Double honors to my apostles, a great millstone, peace and salutation to the hopeful members of the elect, the B'chayim of the house of David, that's been preordained, predestined to be delivered in these last times and to be the ruling governing body of the nation of Yasha'Allah. So I want to go into current news. All right, so let's start it off. The first one is 1,000 U.S. soldiers to deploy to Middle East during war with Iran. So this war with Iran is building up. All right. Sooner or later it may cease, but with all these missile striking that Iran is doing to Israel and also to America by hitting their military bases. Okay, they hit an embassy, and they mentioned they will hit if America hits their energy systems, their power stations. They'll retaliate in the same like manner. All right, this Strait of Hormuz being partially closed is definitely affecting America and other nations as well. Gas prices is rising. Okay. So uncomfortability is coming. All right. And these elites, it's all orchestrated. They want this to happen. Okay, they want this old system to be done away with so they can bring in their new system. All right, the new world order. It even says on your dollar bill, Novus Ordo Seclorum. All right. So, this war may cease, but ultimately it'll pick back up again, and Russia is going to guard Iran and other nations, as it says in Ezekiel 38. Let me get it. Okay, here we are, Ezekiel 38, verse 1. And it says, "And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog." That's talking about the land of Russia. The original inhabitants were Japhetic people. Okay, ultimately they were pushed out of that land, and now who rules there or who dwells in that area are Edomites. Okay, the Russians today that you see, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against them, and say, Thus saith the Lord power, Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal. And now, so he's against them ultimately because why? They're Edomites. All right, that's the reason. But yet he's going to use them. Okay? And I will turn thee back into what? It's that USSR. All right, that Soviet Union mindset. All right? When you look at them Russians and just type in Russian military training, the Russians, they are very masculine. All right? They're like the warriors of Esau, Edom, just like you have Gad, Reuben, and Manasseh are like the warriors of Israel, which, all Israel is all warriors, all right, all the tribes. But, you have like your special op type of tribes, okay, of Israel that are warriors. You have that amongst other nations, okay, Esau, Edom, the Russians. They are like a warrior class of people, very masculine, all right. I knew a Russian kid from my youth, all right. It was actually a good friend of mine, in the world, of course, but very masculine, all right, very masculine. And it says, "And I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth, and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords." Right. So your modern day because they're not gonna just pull up in a cavalry or in horses and fight. All right, America. Okay, they're not just gonna pull up in modern day, in horses. No, this is talking about modern day weapons. All right, tanks or artillery. Okay, uh, you know, bucklers and shields. Okay, swords. Your modern day sword is the gun. All right. And it says Persia. Now, Persia was changed to Iran in 1935. All right. Ethiopia and Libya with them. All of them with shield and helmets. Okay. So that's who Russia's going to be a guard unto. All right. It says Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togarmah of the north quarters. And all his bands, I believe Gomer is Turkey. And many people with thee. Be thou prepared, and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. So Russia's going to be a guard unto Iran. And these other nations are named, but mainly, the main, forces is going to be Russia, Iran, okay? And who's America going to war with right now? Iran. That's how you know we're at the very end. So let's play this video.
Troops are expected to deploy to the Middle East in the coming days as the war with Iran enters day 26. Good evening. I'm Gina Galero.
Thanks for joining us here at 5:30. I'm Derek Dennis. At the same time, President Trump says a deal to end the war may be within reach, but Iranian officials are pushing back, raising doubts about any progress. Lee Waldman reports.
Airstrikes continue in the Middle East. A residential area in Tehran was hit, according to the Iranian Red Crescent. In central Israel, at least 9 people were hurt after an Iranian missile launch, emergency officials said. In the coming days, approximately 1,000.
And you see, they're retaliating on Iran, okay? And they're actually hitting Israel. They're actually getting through their Iron Dome defense. They are hitting Israel with missiles, especially in Tel Aviv. All right, and American soldiers are being deployed out there. This is prophecy. Okay, this is prophecy. Jeremiah. Actually, it's lucky. It's right here, Jeremiah. Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 45. Therefore hear ye the counsel of the Lord, that he hath taken against Babylon, Babylon is America, and his purposes, that he hath purpose against the land of the Chaldeans. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. All right, the least of the flock is Israel. Okay, Amalekites, that's who they truly are. They took our heritage. All right, they're imposters. It tells you that in the scriptures as well. Bastards shall dwell in Ashdod, a city in Israel. Okay, and Amalek is who? The grandson of Esau, Edom. Okay, and it says surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Draw them out to what? War. All right, and we have troops being deployed out there. Okay. By the thousands. All right, this video just says 1,000, but it was more. It was paratroopers. The other day it said 1,200. And you had the Marine expeditionary units. I think it was like 2,500. You see, and it's gonna be more and more as the coming days until it just fully pops off. But first, it has to be the mandation of the RFID chip. That's why I think this war might. It might be prolonged. It might cease for a second. Who knows? We gotta just wait and see, right? But ultimately, that RFID chip has to be enforced worldwide, and then World War III is gonna pick up and be at its peak and be at its height. All right, and it's gonna be catastrophic worldwide. Prior to that as well, again, this war right now is bringing economic gradually it's going to bring economic collapses. This war right now, with the closing the Strait of Hormuz, okay? Again, like gas prices are rising up. The Philippines, they said they have 45 days left of fuel. 45 days, okay? Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them, right? Because both of them will be nuked, but America will never be inhabited. We will inhabit our land, Israel, once again, and these nations will build up our kingdom. Okay, so let's go back to this video.
In the coming days, approximately 1,000 soldiers with the Army's 82nd Airborne Division are expected to deploy to the Middle East, according to two sources familiar with the matter. One of the sources said the brigade will be prepared to be called upon if needed.
They're serious about conducting some kind of a ground operation in Iran. Why else would you be sending the immediate ready brigade from the 82nd Airborne?
I would not support troops going into Iran, period. No ifs, ands, or buts, but I also want to be clear that this administration, at least in talks with us, has not voiced that they want that either.
This comes as President Donald Trump says the U.S. is winning this war and is close to ending it.
And they are lying. They are lying. They are not winning this war. You know, Israel has been preparing for, Iran has been preparing for decades with missiles and drones, okay?
I can tell you they'd like to make a deal. And who wouldn't if you were there?
The U.S. has shared a 15-point list of expectations with Iran via Pakistan, two regional sources told CNN, who added that among the points included are limits on Tehran's defense capability, a cessation of support for proxies, and an acknowledgement of Israel's right to exist. However, Iran's semi-official news agency Fars is reporting Iran will not accept a ceasefire and believes it would not be logical for it to enter talks with the United States, citing a source with knowledge of the diplomatic activity. I'm Lee Waldman reporting.
Gas prices are holding steady.
Just real quick, all right. Second Ezra chapter 15, verse 28, because this will soon come, all right, and when World War III truly pops off. Behold, an horrible vision in the appearance thereof from the east. That's talking about the what they call the Middle East, all right, Western Asia, where the nations of the dragons of Arabia shall come out with many chariots, all right, the Arab nations, and the multitude of them shall be carried as the wind upon earth, that all they which hear them may fear and tremble. Okay. It says also the Carmenians, this is talking about Iran, the Iranians, raging in wrath shall go forth as the wild boars of the wood, and with great power shall they come and join battle with them. Okay. Russians, all right, and their ally, and the rest of their allies. Okay, because it's gonna be the valley of troops. All these nations, their troops are gonna be sent there, and shall waste a portion of the land of the Assyrians. Okay, the American troops, because this is Babylon, Assyria, reincarnated spiritually. Okay, Egypt, all those great empires that fell. America is all of that spiritually today. All right, it's the Roman Empire revived all over again. All right, you see, and see Esau, Edom, the elites, they want to bring this system down and bring in a new system. All right, which they want to fully control everything. All right, put a chip in you, and it's gonna be. It's already surveillance everywhere, but that's their end goal. But it won't happen. Okay, it won't happen. Okay, because Yahweh Shai is going to return. And see, these devils are set up a trap, and they're going to fall in it. Once they push the MOTB, everything's going to speed up. World War III, all right. The Lord's going to return in the midst of those ICBM missiles being shot out and hitting target America, and the elect is going to come down from the chariots, all right. Well, let me go back. The Lord's going to return, deliver the elect as those missiles be shot off. But ultimately, the elect is going to come down from that chariot, all right, and put you heathens in slavery. We're going to get you elites in your underground bunkers, your underground cities, all right, as it says in Jeremiah 16. Okay, you'll be the first crop of slaves, actually. But it's Job 5 verse 12. He disappointeth. He is talking about Yahushua. He disappointeth the devices of the crafty. The devices of the crafty is Esau Edom's plans, his agenda. All right, so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. They won't get far in their new world order. Okay, so let's go back to this. Gas price hikes hitting Americans hard, right?
For now, but relief may not come anytime soon.
Relief may not come anytime soon.
Despite optimism from President Trump about a potential end to the conflict with Iran, experts say prices could remain elevated. According to Gas Buddy, the average price of gas in Indiana is $4.09, slightly above the national average of $3.97. That's about $1 higher than just a month ago, marking the highest levels since 2022.
Yeah, so here's another one, okay?
Got a pile of clothes you never wear anymore?
Goodness.
Turn them into cash with Vinted. Snap a photo.
This electrical system mostly can feel the shock of higher gas prices at the pump. There's another energy crisis brewing across the country, but the people who actually run the electrical grid issuing stark warnings. For 100 years, America's electrical system, mostly stable, with blackouts being the rare exception. But when they do happen, they can have exceptional consequences.
The situation here in Brownsville was described as anarchy, war, rioting.
Every source of power that the state of Texas has been compromised.
Now a new combination of the latest artificial...
Right, so it says, this video highlights severe vulnerabilities in the United States electrical grid, focusing on the intersection of rising energy demand and physical threats. Experts and industry groups are sounding the alarm that the grid is unprepared for modern threats, particularly coordinated drone attacks. Yeah. Okay. And I just read of actually I posted it on my channel. Okay, from the from one of the brothers. Let me see. Damn, how the hell do I? Okay, post. Slocky. It says, from GMS Standing Firm. It says, the city that never sleeps may be forced to sleep. New York bill to shut off outdoor lights by 11 p.m. passes committee 20-9, heads to full votes due to energy crisis. Okay, this is from Jetlag World. It says, as energy concerns continue to grow, New York is moving forward with a bill that could change how the city looks at night. So this is a bill that they want to pass, okay? Lights off. And this is going to affect, what it's going to say, it's going to affect businesses. The proposal would require outdoor lights to be shut off by 11 p.m., a major shift for a place known as the city that never sleeps. Supporters say it's about reducing energy use and environmental impact, while others worry it could affect businesses' safety and nightlife. Yeah. And safety, yeah. Man, crime will be at all-time high. You just saw, man, and blackouts come. You just saw, it just showed, in Brownsville, New York, that was like what, I believe that was like what, I'm not too keen on the information, but what was that, like in the 80s? If anybody in the comments knows about that, let me know. But let's continue.
Artificial intelligence data centers and aging power plants is creating...
Every source of power that the state of Texas has been compromised.
Now a new combination of the latest artificial intelligence data centers and aging power plants is creating a perfect storm, from the big city to the Great Plains.
It's becoming more of a challenge across the whole eastern part of the United States.
Rich Dewey oversees NISO, which runs the grid in New York.
Rich, you say the grid is at an inflection point. What does that mean?
Really, it's a confluence of a number of different factors. So we're on the cusp of really new technologies coming onto the grid, and it's really got us concerned about our ability to meet reliability for not only for New York City, but for the state as a whole.
Dewey says on a peak day, the demand is 32 to 33,000 megawatts. Now they have proposals for 13,000 more megawatts in demand for AI alone, a nearly 50% increase.
At a time of significant load growth, we're actually retiring more generation that we're building, and that gives us some concern.
Now, if you couple that with this growing threat here of drones hitting the grid, it's not going to be a good situation.
Right.
We have the U.S. government and the Department of Homeland Security, which is underfunded and partially shut down right now, saying that they have concerns that these drones are going to be used on our electrical grid.
Yeah, did you hear that? The Homeland Security is
underfunded and
shut down. Let's go back.
Now, if you couple that with this growing threat here of drones hitting the grid, it's not going to be a good situation. We have the U.S. government and the Department of Homeland Security, which is underfunded and partially shut down right now.
Partially shut down. So this is just a recipe for disaster to come. All right, this is all orchestrated. Gas prices hiking up. They're talking about potential blackouts coming. Okay.
They have concerns that these drones are going to be used on our electrical grid in North America specifically, and they ran simulations. They ran simulations to see what would happen if these Iranian drones specifically were launched from somewhere, let's say Mexico, and they weren't able to take them down. If they were able to hit just a handful of sites, they would cripple this country in a heartbeat. Most of the components that you're going to need to get back up online, ironically enough, are going to come from China. So this whole thing is a setup, has been, will be, through and through. So they're going to continue with these drills and these simulations, but none of them bring back anything good. They all say the same thing, that you're vulnerable here, 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 and here, and that you have to do something about it. And what you see on the right is highways putting up drone netting. These are things cities and towns do when they know that something's going down and they're taking it serious. I foresee this happening in cities along the border, in any city that starts to see these drone incursions en masse, because I believe they're going to come in waves just as the Obama movie predicted, and they're going to cause mass problems.
What was that? What was that movie he did? End of the World or something like that? Let me just type it in real quick. Obama. Yeah, all that was predicted programming. They show you what they are going to do. They put it in movies. They put it in TV shows. You know, video games. Yeah, what was that movie? Leave the World Behind, right? And I advise you to watch that movie. Okay. 2023, that's when it came out, is an apocalyptic thriller, right? And what do they do in that movie? I don't know, spoiler alert, but I'm not gonna say too much, but they brought in confusion. They shut down energy and power stations. Okay, they shut down energy systems. The whole infrastructure, the grid was off, and they just brought mass confusion. Okay, so let's go back. All right, let's continue.
Just the beginning of all this. For anyone thinking that it's going to be over soon, nope, they've already killed high spiritual individuals out there in Khomeini. Maybe not to you, but to others. And that causes kamikazes. That sparks blowback.
Yeah, those people out there, those Iranians, they're, some of them are majority are Shiite, so they're like more, devoted, okay? I saw a video where, when Khomeini was alive, that's the supreme leader and the religious leader of Iran, or was, because, America took him out. Those people are upset. But I saw a video where a 5-year-old was talking to him. He said, when I grow up, I want to be a martyr. How can you go against people like that are ready to die?
Regardless of how staged things are out there, because some people take it to heart seriously. Then when you add in the whole thing as a setup to begin with, this does not.
Sorry about that.
Back, regardless.
Let's continue.
high spiritual individuals out there in Khomeini, maybe not to you, but to others. And that causes kamikazes. That sparks blowback, regardless of how staged things are out there, because some people take it to heart seriously. Then when you add in the whole thing as a setup to begin with, this does not look good. It looks like the grid is definitely going to take a hit. I would prepare for that and have a plan. Join me for the live streams where I talk about this in greater detail.
It's also me all
Monday, Wednesday.
all orchestrated by the elites, but yeah, extreme uncomfortability is coming, not just to America but worldwide. Okay, it's a 2 Timothy 3 verse 1. This know also that in the last days it's like a tongue twister, perilous times shall come. All right. So perilous. There you go. Finally, perilous times shall come. Okay. So I'm gonna read again. 2 Timothy 3 verse 1. This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. Now, what does perilous mean? Okay, let's look that up. Perilous times. All right, describing dangerous, stressful, and chaotic last days marked by high risk and volatile conditions and increased human wickedness, right? And we're at an all-time peak and height of human wickedness. People are man, okay? And don't get me started on the women. It's lucky about that, but yeah. Wickedness at an all-time high, you know? But the whole point is extreme uncomfortability is here and it's approaching. Let me see one more video actually I've seen. Matter of fact, I might just go to I go back to Dabu, the TSA. All right, so traveling is becoming harder on people, okay? Because the TSA, you know, it's a government shutdown. They're not getting paid. Let's go right here.
Okay, I'm in line to get a cute little drink. Let's see what's faster, me telling you about Lindenwood's online accelerated degree programs or them getting my drink out.
Hey guys, Dabu 7, we've got an alert put out here to use worldwide caution here for Americans on this March 22nd, 2026. A day that they're known for dropping sigils, symbolism. And here today, this security alert telling Americans worldwide that you can be targeted, or pretty much you are a target, to exercise increased caution, period, no matter where you're at, especially in the Middle East, is how they put it. So the Department of State advising Americans worldwide to exercise this caution. They say Americans abroad should follow the guidance and security alerts issued by the nearest U.S. embassy or consulate. That's from the State Department. And here recently, the embassies themselves already put out a warning and said, get out of here. Like if you're anywhere in the Middle East, get out of here. All signs are pointing to this thing escalating up. There's going to be major events from here still. They just struck nuclear facilities today, so you can't believe a word that they say when they're wanting to wind it down and it's going to end soon. This is just getting going. And the Iranians said today they're done talking, that the West should get ready for major repercussions, big time. So when you start striking nuclear facilities and stuff like that, things are changing. And Colonel McGregor just put out a clip over on X saying that he thinks that Trump has already given Israel an ultimatum, saying that if you drop any kind of nuke whatsoever on Iran or anyone else, that you're going to get one dropped on you, basically. That's his opinion. We've got a lot of people out there saying something's about to happen. And now Trump, instead of paying the Department of Homeland Security to do their job, they are defunded right now like we are sitting ducks. And instead of having them out there doing their job, they're sending ICE in to airports. I'm telling you guys, The moves are being made. Join me on the live stream where I've got more time to break this down.
Right, so that was that, okay? That was that. There's another one I want to get. Let me just go to summary of this real quick. All right, so worldwide security alert. Again, that's what he said, okay? Urging Americans to exercise increased caution due to threats from Iran-linked groups. The warning emphasizes that Americans abroad are potential targets, especially in the Middle East. You know? So, traveling might be restricted. Okay. Let's see. Let me go on my watch later, because I believe I have it here. Right here. Here it goes.
If you have CalFresh, Medi-Cal, or SSI, you may qualify for a free iPhone 11. Plus a...
Check it out. New video, same thing. The only difference is the lines are longer than before. This is at Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport in Atlanta. It's now been about 6 weeks since the partial government shutdown started, leaving TSA agents with no pay and airports with minimal help at the security checkpoints. TSA workers are even speaking out on the struggles as airports are bracing for another busy weekend this weekend of spring break travelers. Reed Binion has more.
Major airports are experiencing days where 40 to 50% of their staff are calling out because they simply cannot afford to report to work.
TSA's deputy administrator laying bare the desperate plight of TSA employees still working without pay and the crippling impact it's having on airport security wait times.
This has led to the highest wait times in TSA history, with some wait times greater than 4.5 hours.
Those lines out the door and into vehicle lanes in front of the airport at Houston's George Bush Intercontinental in Texas. The airport reported a 2-hour wait Wednesday, down from more than 4 hours earlier in the week. Airport officials say it can't continue like this.
We typically operate 37 TSA checkpoint lanes. At this point, TSA is only able to staff somewhere between a third to 50% of them. That is not sustainable.
Flight attendants unions agree.
This is unsustainable. Flight attendants are saying pay TSA now.
TSA officials advocating for their workers.
Some are sleeping in their cars, selling their blood and plasma, received eviction notices, had their cars repossessed and utilities shut off.
But some of the most convincing testimony of the difficulty coming from the TSA workers themselves.
I feel angry. I feel used. I feel abused. This is not a job. This is a career. To know that we're coming on our third.
Right. So, 6 weeks without pay, and it's causing major disruption at the airports. All right. Long waiting lines. Okay. People can miss their flights. All right. And again, extreme uncomfortability. Okay. It's already bad enough with the gas prices hiking up, and then then the energy system can be and power stations could be potentially attacked. All right, they might do a false flag. It's gonna be blackouts. All right, I can see that, and they might start in this area. All right, and in this state. All right, or in a city in this state. Okay, or Esau. We at the end, man. Esau could just. The whole East Coast, false flag attack, blackout. All right. We just gotta wait and see. But yeah, we're here. We are definitely here. Perilous times. Okay. Perilous times, and this is affecting, again, with that Strait of Hormuz, being partially closed. This is affecting other nations as well. Okay. But we are here. It's the book of Luke, chapter 21, verse 25. And there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars. Right, then we just have a blood moon. All right, this month. And upon the earth, distress of nations with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring. Okay, distress. All right, let's look at that word distress. A state of severe emotional and physical or social pain and discomfort where coping mechanisms fail, causing individuals to feel overwhelmed, anxious, or depressed, right? And Depression's at an all-time high. Okay, people are complaining. They're going on TikTok. I just saw a woman earlier. She was like, she was like 22, young woman, and she was talking about, how I think she lost her job or she couldn't find a job, but it's difficult out here for the average American. Okay, you have to have like a roommate just to have your own place. Okay, and essentially it's not yours. You have a roommate. All right. It's getting bad out here, man. It's getting extremely bad. Okay, perplexed, being completely confused, puzzled, or baffled by something difficult to understand or solve. Right, Esau's bringing nothing but confusion. Okay, he has brought confusion, especially here in America, and these people are going to be in a rude awakening. All right. AI is taking over. It's going to take over jobs, and these gas prices hiking up. I truly believe that, they want to, get rid of these cars that run on gas, obviously, and bring in digital cars or cars that run on, like Teslas. Okay, bring in more digitally accessed vehicles. All right, again, that movie with Obama, or that movie that Obama directed, Leaving the World Behind. Okay, so you can be so everything can be fully connected to this system. All right, because we're in a digital age. Okay, and Esau Edom, that's how he's gonna run his new system. Via the RFID chip. Everything it's becoming more digitalized. Technocracy. Okay. All right. Let's go into that definition real quick. Actually, I have it right here. I'll just look it up right here. Technocracy. Meaning, okay. Technocracy is a form of government or management where decisions are made by technical experts such as scientists, engineers, and economists, rather than elected politicians. It prioritizes data-driven, objective policy making over popular opinion to maximize the efficiency, often resulting in rule by an expert elite. Okay. Policies are based on scientific evidence, technical proficiency, and objective analysis. Governance is managed by specialist technocrats rather than traditional popular politicians. Okay. So that's the meaning of technocracy. All right. That's the meaning of technocracy. All right. So ultimately, a system where experts run the government instead of politicians. Okay. So decisions are being made by people with technical knowledge, right? Like scientists, like you just said, engineers, economists. All right. And they're going to decide the fate of humanity. This is, carbon data tracking, and we have to eat clone meat and all that bull, man. Okay, and ultimately, what the RFID chip? You have to take this chip to live within society because, it'll be better for the world. All right, we can't trust. It'll be more safer. Okay, this is where we're going to. All right. This is where it's headed. But the water, the water, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. Okay? The water, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. All right? Because he's going to send his son back, Yahushai, to defeat this man. All right? And establish his kingdom. So, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. All right? I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. Bahashem Rachakodash, double honors to my apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and salutations to the hopeful members of the elect. With that, shalom.